This message is for every investor who wants and needs a green card to America but doesn't know how to get one. Let me tell you, the first part is to start with a dream, with a vision of living in the greatest country on earth. I believe that you're here because you have that, or you want to develop it. Maybe because you want your children to attend the finest universities in the world. Maybe it's about living in freedom, embracing the American dream. I'm here to tell you it is absolutely possible. Welcome to this video, and I promise to do my part to make this time valuable for you. My name is Mike Maddox, and I've helped nearly 500 people to get their green card to the United States. I own several regional centers that provide projects for foreigners to invest in. But I'm different. Most EB-5 investments take advantage of the investor and only pay a fraction of 1% interest. That's losing money. I have developed an investment project that will allow you to increase the assets by 300% or more over the EB-5 investment period. Who's heard of that? No one. There's nothing like it in the EB-5 investment community. But let's talk a little bit about your dream, your vision. In fact, let's look at another foreigner who had a vision as a kid of coming to America. You may have heard of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Olympia 13 times, a great actor, a very good governor of California. He started the same as you, with a vision, and it grew until it became a reality. So let's see how.
People ask me all the time, what is the secret to success? And I always tell them what the short version is, you got to have a 22-inch biceps. And you got to be able to kill predators with your bare hands. And of course, you got to have this charming Austrian accent. That's a given. The long version is that I actually always had 5 rules. You don't need to be a bodybuilding champion. You don't need to want to be an action hero or anything like that. If you want to excel in whatever you do, those rules are for you. So my first rule is find your vision and follow it. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a vision, you just drift around. You're not going to be happy. I grew up after the Second World War. Austria, right along with Germany, lost the Second World War. There was, of course, depression. There was a terrible economic situation. I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to escape. And luckily, one day in school, I watched a documentary about America. I knew exactly that is where I wanted to end up. The question was just, how do I get there? How do I get to America? No one had the money to travel or anything. But one day, I was fortunate enough to see a bodybuilding magazine. And on the cover was this very muscular guy. Mr. Universe becomes Hercules' star. His name was Reg Park. I read the article as fast as I could, learning about how he grew up in Leeds in England, poor, and how he trained 5 hours a day, every single day, and trained, and then he finally became Mr. Great Britain, and then became Mr. Universe. And then he won a second Mr. Universe title and a third Mr. Universe title, and then all of a sudden he landed in Rome in Cinecittà, doing Hercules movies. And as I read, I became more and more certain. I had that vision very clearly laid out, to be a champion on that same stage where he won the Mr. Universe, and then to move to America, then get into movies. From that moment on, everything that I did, no matter how hard I had to work or how much I had to struggle, it didn't matter, because I knew what the purpose was, and I found my passion. Always discover your vision, and the rest will follow.
You see, it all starts with a vision. If a vision is clear enough, it leads to action. As an example, if you want to walk to the mall, and that mall is, say, 10 kilometers away, it's hot outside, how many of you think you could still do it? I think everybody could. You start out by putting one foot in front of the other, right? Until you're 1 kilometer closer. Then you keep walking until it becomes exciting, because you're getting closer and closer to the mall, to your goal. The same is true with the vision of living in the United States. It can happen, and I can make it happen with you. You can see on the screen the picture of a house that I say is a friend of mine. Well, I use the software. This is the home of Bill Gates. And I want to tell you a little story about a vision that my daughter had. When she was about to start high school, I asked her what she wanted to accomplish during her high school years. She said she wanted to become valedictorian, which means the highest GPA, the grade point average in the school. I said, okay, that I would help her. She got involved with studies. She played on the volleyball team, the golf team, was voted the president of her school, and you can tell she was pretty active. She was even with another student in her class for her GPA, about the same, and came up to the last semester. And she closed the status with their highest GPA in her class and became the valedictorian. She reached her dream. During her last year, I told her that her job was to apply for scholarships. And she worked hard each day applying. One day, she opened a letter from the Gates Foundation. Bill and Melinda Gates had selected my daughter to be a Gates Scholar. That meant that Tishra could choose any school to attend for any major, and the Gates Foundation would pay for it, including living expenses. She chose Washington State, and she went there for 4 years. Then she wanted to get a master's in science at the Oregon Health Institute. Mr. Gates again paid for it. When she graduated from there, she wanted to get her PhD and attend George Washington University in Washington, D.C. But she was only 21 years old, and they only accepted 6 candidates every 2 years for this position. And they had to have 10 years experience. They gave her a phone interview and accepted her to the public health policy program immediately, where she became the only student to be hired as a professor from her class when she graduated. She now teaches and started a new program at Central Washington University at the age of 27. So dream big. Does it cost any more to dream big? I think it costs more to dream small.
Now my second rule is never ever think small. You have to go and shoot for the stars. I didn't just think about being in movies. No, I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to have above the title billing. I wanted to become the highest paid entertainer. I basically wanted to be another John Wayne. What's wrong with that? Never think small, think big.
I think a dream of your kids to have the best opportunities to go to the best schools and university is a vision with great honor. But it leads to even greater results. Your dream of America is bigger than your kids. It also affects their kids and their children for generations to come. They will know that you provided a way for them for freedom to live their life. That you gave them a dream that they can choose for themselves. In fact, here's the biggest problem you face right now. It's your fear of making the wrong decision about my investment. Why? Because it's a life-changing event that will affect your whole family. I understand. It's tentative, it's nervous. But that's not the end of the problem. It actually gets worse, which means the greatest dream you have may not happen if the opportunity passes. I'm a big believer that opportunities come around for a short period of time and then they're gone forever unless you grasp it. And that's when they become yours.
A third rule is ignore the naysayers. I think it is natural that when you have a big vision and big dreams and you have big goals, that people are going to say around you, I don't think it can be done. I think it's impossible. I mean, it started right away when I was 15 years old and I became a bodybuilder. Right after the top, when I said, I want to be a world champion in bodybuilding, I want to be Mr. Universe. They immediately said, are you crazy? Bodybuilding is an American sport, forget about it, that's nuts. And then when I wanted to go into show business, after I won 13 world championship titles in bodybuilding, I said, I want to be like Reg Park. I want to be a Hercules, I want to get into movies. Well, I tell you, when I met those agents and managers, their reaction was, oh, Arnold, that is so funny. You want to be what, a leading man? Oh, come on. I mean, look, first of all, let's start with your body. You're gigantic, you're like a monster. And then your accent, oh, it gives me the chills just listening to your German bullshit. Come on now. Have you ever seen an international movie star with a German accent? It doesn't happen. Forget about that. And then your name, what is it, Schwarzen, Schnitzel or something like that? People are going to storm the theater and the movie houses because Schwarzen Schnitzel is starring in a movie. Oh yeah, I can see that already. Imagine that. Everywhere I turned, they said, no, it won't happen, it's not going to happen, and forget about it. Luckily, I did not listen. I started taking acting classes, English classes, even accent removal classes. I ran around all day saying lines like, a fine wine grows on a vine. All of a sudden, I got a little break. All of a sudden, I got a TV show, a little part, then another little part, and then Pumping On and Stay Hungry, and then, of course, I landed the big role of Conan the Barbarian. So finally, I got the big break. And you know what was so interesting about it was the director said at the press conference, if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger with those muscles, we would have had to build one. And then when I did Terminator, James Cameron said the I'll be back line became one of the most famous movie lines in history because of Arnold's crazy accent, because he sounded like a machine. So as you see, everything that the naysayers said was a liability became an asset. Ignore the naysayers.
So if you're an investor who really needs a green card to America but doesn't know how to get one, I am here with the solution you've been looking for. I'm introducing a real investment with a green card, a way that is so unique, it's so inventive, and I promise you, when I get there, you're going to be very happy with this investment. Investing provides for your children to go to the best schools in the world, making your family's dreams come true to live in America, changing your family for generations to come. That's the biggie. That's the big dream. They grab your freedom, the liberty, and the financial opportunities America has to offer, and so much, much more. So what's the value of the green card? I say it's priceless. To give not only you, but your children, their children, and on, the opportunity to live the American dream, priceless. What about the investment? Well, if I told you that I would give you $3 million in return for your investment of $1 million, plus you get a green card, would you take it? That's what we're here to talk about. The initial 20 investors will get a 10% discount on the cost of pre-ordering condos. That's a little hint. There are only a few spots remaining in the investment, and we expect it to close soon. Our project should return the highest profit of any EB5 investment ever offered. And you're fortunate, because I'm focusing on Vietnam. So I'd like you to act now, book an appointment, and when I come to Vietnam next month, before it's too late, I can only have so many appointments during my stay. Get on board with a real investment, with a real green card from SML in Vietnam. Now, I hope to see you next month. Please, take the time. I'd love to meet with you and show you my commitment to helping your dream become reality. See you soon.